So you might remember a couple of weeks ago when I caused a big fuss by asking the deep philosophical question, what the hell's the matter with Joe Biden? Well, today I would like to apologize for that and instead ask a much more appropriate question. What the hell's the matter with Nancy Pelosi? Hey, everybody, I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott, and this is a special Christmas Eve day. Can you believe this? We are in our offices taping on Christmas Eve day, Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com, who are certainly getting their money's worth this month. And hey, for that matter, so are you.
You get a half day off at Christmas, if it's a Sunday.
If it's a Sunday. And well, just my luck, it's a Wednesday this year. All right, so gentlemen, you've probably seen this. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't, but the whole impeachment mess has been causing support for impeachment to erode in the polls. It never peaked as high as 50%. We're down around 42 or something like that. And Nancy Pelosi has not only refused to transmit the articles of impeachment to the Senate, which constitutionally she might not even have to do. She's trying to hold this procedure that more than half the country is against hostage in order to try and tell Mitch McConnell how to run his own impeachment trial over in the Senate. Nothing like this has ever happened in American politics, and it's being done by a woman who has been praised by me, not that I like the outcomes, but has been praised by me as being the best vote counter and arm twister on Capitol Hill since LBJ ran the Senate back in the 50s. And I don't understand what is going on in her mind with this new antic of drawing out the least loved impeachment in American history. Scott, can you maybe give us some conjecture or an explanation or something, anything, to ease my troubled soul on this issue?
Boy, comparing her to LBJ, that's damning her with damning.
But LBJ he pushed through legislation by knowing where the votes were, knowing where the bodies were, and twisting the arms how they needed to be twisted. And Pelosi is just as skilled, except...
Well, I think that there's not too much to read into this. And there's a tendency on either side of the political aisle to come up with elaborate theories as to why somebody is doing something and going immediately, like, do not pass self-interest, go directly to conspiracy theories.
But I'm trying to figure out the self-interest. Yeah. That's what I want to know.
Here's the self-interest. Okay. If you have a case, and I'm just saying, she could be looking at it this way. She's got she has the nickels and noses, you know, she controls the campaign funds in many ways, and she knows what votes that she has for anything, and she knows what's going on in the Senate as well. So you don't really have to think too hard, I think, to conjecture that Nancy Pelosi understands what's going to happen to an impeachment trial in the Senate. It won't last as long as she would like to. It won't have the outcome that she would prefer. And it will give President Trump something more to crow about as he runs and basically says, I am the USS Indestructible, as he runs for re-election. And so
he comes up with that. But mail that in.
Right now, President Trump is under impeachment. And the longer he stays...
except there's a legal question as to whether or not he actually is until this thing goes to the Senate.
That's the beautiful thing about it, because like you said right at the beginning, this has never happened before. Therefore, there's no case law about it. There's no precedent about it. And anybody who says that Nancy Pelosi is doing something illegal, the response would have to be, well, we'll see. Yeah, because we really don't know. At this point, it's not really been adjudicated, and it's not clear that the Speaker of the House doesn't have authority to hold on to this. There are some people who are fully convinced, but see, they were fully convinced before they knew Nancy Pelosi was going to do this. It really didn't matter what Nancy Pelosi would do. Yep. Anything that they did or she did that they didn't like, they would be fully convinced was wrong and unconstitutional. So I just think she's looking at this and saying, okay, right now in the public mind, we can say, and every newscast begins with President Trump under impeachment. President Trump is impeached, and until that is put to bed by a trial that acquits him in the Senate, he remains in that state of suspended animation. Not that it really affects him. He'll continue to do what he's been doing. But the longer they can stretch that out and not come to what seems like the obvious conclusion of this case, the better it is for them. Now, that can't go on forever, obviously, and at some point, they're going to have to either pony up the votes in the Senate, or they're going to have to acknowledge that this whole thing has been a bad political exercise that resulted not only in no positive result for them, but actually harmed them because it made them look disingenuous. It made them look like they ginned up some kind of phony thing. It made Nancy herself go against what she said at the beginning of the year about the seriousness of impeachment and how it should be a bipartisan enterprise. So all of this is not good for her. And in a sense, if it doesn't come to an actual conclusion. It's kind of like when you've got a boyfriend-girlfriend situation and you know it's not working out and you haven't seen each other in a while. As long as you don't officially break up, you can sort of delude yourself into thinking there's a thing there.
All right, Bill, I have to disagree with something Scott said. Not that I necessarily think Scott is wrong, but I just don't understand how this is the thing in Nancy Pelosi's head. We all know the first rule of holes. When you find yourself in one, you stop digging. And so rather than stretch this out, you would think she would be looking for a graceful way to exit. Maybe not actually graceful. Let's say the least ungraceful way to exit from this impeachment predicament. But public support is not just turning against impeachment, but Trump is way up in the polls against all the Democratic contenders, and he hasn't even unleashed his big money ad machine against him yet because we don't know who the Democratic nominee is going to be yet. Even so, this whole impeachment thing is driving up support for Trump. It's driving down support for Democrats. And yet, instead of obeying the first law of holes and stop digging, she's actually asking for a second shovel. I just saw in the news in the last couple of days that Nancy Pelosi is considering another round of impeachment charges against Trump. So what do you please enlighten me?
I will actually, I'm not joking. I really think I can. You're looking at a slightly too narrow set of circumstances, and I give you a perfect example. You're a football fan.
Yep.
If I told you it was 4th down and 37, would you go for it?
Well, how much am I down by?
Depends on the circumstances.
No, 4th down
right.
and 37. Would you go for it? And you're down by 10.
Well, sure. Why not?
You wouldn't do it in the first quarter.
No, but I might do it in the fourth quarter.
You wouldn't do it in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't do it in the third quarter. And you wouldn't do it at the beginning of the fourth quarter. But if it was 4th down and 37, you're down by 10 points and there's 1:30 left on the scoreboard, then you go for it. Yeah. Because you have no choice but to go for it. And that's exactly where she is. The clock that's ticking is the clock that contains all of these creatures on the Democratic platform who are running for president. And that is not that clock's going to run out and they're going to lose. So she is throwing the Hail Nancy, and she'll continue to throw them, and she'll throw them all day until she either scores a miracle win or more likely gets picked off or they lose on downs. And I really genuinely think that I'm not trying to be clever here. I really do think that the reason they're doing this is because they have absolutely no other choice. I think that that they looked at what they had in terms of candidates. They looked at Donald Trump's approval rating, and they literally said to themselves, well, it's 4th and 38, but we got to go for it. We got to do something, because if we don't, we're just simply going to, we're not going to punt on 4th down with a minute left, and lose the game. We've got to do desperate things. And that's the only explanation I have for it.
Yeah. It sounds really good. I'm not sure the football analogy holds, simply because I don't think the Democrats have possession of the ball. I think Trump has possession of the ball, and they keep handing him the ball over. These are turnover after turnover.
She's got possession of the ball because she's got the ball. She's holding the ball. The ball of the articles of impeachment. She's got the ball. And now she's scrambling. Since we're going to run this thing into the ground,
it's not a football. It's a hot potato, and it's burning her. She's got to drop the thing. So
let's go a little further, shall we, for those Americans who are not communists and understand American football. So it's 4th and 37, right? Minute and 17 seconds left to go. Pelosi takes the snap. She's got to throw long. Everybody's covered long. So now she's scrambling. Okay. Now she's 50 yards deep of the first. She's running backwards, but she's still got the ball. And until somebody tackles her or the ball is intercepted, the game is still on. So she's scrambling in the backfield and she's running further backward. Now it's 60 yards to the first down line, but she's still got the ball. And that's why it feels like a scramble. That's why the whole thing feels so ridiculous. And once you get to that point, you really, at this point, it's more than just a miracle. Now it's almost like now it's almost like it's almost inconceivable. Nancy Pelosi doesn't have an 80-yard arm, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I think if it were me and I was on the team that was up by 10 points, watching them go for it on 4th and 38, and now the scramble's on, I'm feeling pretty good. It's not over, but I'm feeling really good.
Folks, I'm going to be the odd man out on this one. I don't see it from Scott's point of view. I don't see it from Bill's point of view. All I see is somebody who desperately needs to stop doing what they're doing, and for some reason they can't. I don't know if that Nancy Pelosi has maybe lost control of her caucus so badly that she has to do this regardless because her own people won't give her any other choice. I don't know if she's lost control of her faculty so badly that she is back 4th and 37 in her own end zone looking for that 80-yard pass and thinks she's winning. I mean, maybe her brain is just that far gone that she honestly thinks she's winning. I couldn't say. I don't know. But I do know one thing. Bill got to me yesterday or the day before and said, you think maybe we could do some Christmas episodes, a right angle this week, even though we'd be shooting on New Year's or Christmas Eve day. And I said, you know what? Sure, why not? But I couldn't think of an actual Christmas topic. And then I realized I got the best Christmas gift in the world. I got Nancy Pelosi as Speaker of the House, and she's either lost control of her own people or she's lost control of her own faculties. And either way, it's a hell of a win. It's a great Christmas. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy New Year. Thanks for being a part of this. We'll see you next time.